Neighbors left a messy kitchen and ditched for 3 days, so I let it rot to teach them a lesson. I'm 27, living with 3 guy roommates who are grad students, about 2 years younger than me. I've got the master bedroom with its own bathroom, while they're on the other side of the house. I've kinda become the house mom by default, which usually doesn't bug me. I'll say, hey, guys, don't forget to do X, and they'll handle it. But when it comes to cleaning, I'm not chill. I clean dishes as I cook or soak them and wash within a couple of hours. My roommates? They just leave everything. About 2 weeks ago, I got fed up. I wanted to make pasta, but the sink was so full of dirty dishes I couldn't even clean a pan. Annoyed and a bit passive-aggressive, I washed everything, then waited for all the guys to be home to talk. I said, look, I tried to clean a pan, but there was no room. I get you're busy with school, but we need to wash dishes within 48 hours of using them. It's turning into a pile, and it feels like you're dumping all the housework on me. They were like, oh man, totally, our dishes aren't your responsibility. Sorry. From now on, you don't have to worry, just clean your own stuff. Fast forward to 3 days ago. Roommate number 1, Nathan, went to visit family. Roommate number 2, Luciano, took off to South America with his research group. Roommate number 3, Sanjit, was probably crashing at his girlfriend's place. They all vanished like morning fog. The next day, I woke up to an empty house and a sink overflowing with their dirty dishes. We live in the south, and it's getting warm, which means bugs are starting to show up, drawn to the gross stuff left on counters. By day 3, fruit flies and gnats were swarming their dishes. Normally, I'd lose it and clean, but this time? Nope. They said I don't have to wash their stuff, so I'm not touching their nasty dishes. I've been avoiding the kitchen, it's disgusting. Luckily, my master bedroom has its own bathroom, so I've been washing my dishes in the sink there, which, surprise, has no bugs. Tomorrow, 2 of them are back. I'm not stressing one bit. Let them see what their laziness leads to. Update, wow, I didn't expect my post to get so many comments. Guess I'm not the only one dealing with this. First, to those saying I should have dumped the dirty dishes in their rooms, that's not malicious compliance. No one told me to move their stuff, and I didn't want to touch that mess. But I'm keeping that idea for petty revenge if this happens again. To those saying I'm setting up our house for a bug infestation, we live in an old rental in the woods in the south. Bugs are just part of life here. They usually hang around the trash can, which is gross but manageable. I spray it with cleaner after every pickup. But keeping the house bug-free isn't just my job, it's on all of us. Here's the update, with fake names for clarity. Nathan, visited family. Luciano, South America. Sanjit, girlfriend's place. Sanjit came back last night with his girlfriend. From what I could tell, they didn't even hit the kitchen, just went straight to his room. But this morning, my cat clawed my leg at 7 a.m., so I was up and heard them shuffling to the kitchen for coffee. Sanjit said it was a total mess in there, and his girlfriend agreed. He added, this is why I don't cook here, which is true, he mostly orders takeout, so I'm pretty sure none of the dishes were his. They left soon after. Nathan got back around 2 p.m. while I was outside cleaning the cat's litter box, another bug magnet. I heard him come in but didn't stick around to see his reaction. When I went back inside, he was unpacking in his room, and the sink was still buzzing with bugs. I set the litter box back in my room and got lost scrolling on my phone. 2 hours later, nothing had changed in the kitchen. I started stressing. Some of your comments, like, they don't care, now it's your bug problem, got to me. What if they really didn't care, and the dishes sat there another 48 hours? What if I got worked up for nothing? So, I came up with a plan B. A plan A was the dream scenario. They see the mess, realize communal living is a team effort, and step up. But if that flopped, plan B was to wait until everyone's home, drag them to the kitchen, and say, look at this. Bugs. You left this crap for over 3 days, expecting me to clean it. Don't tell me it's not yours. Here's bleach, here's bug spray, get to it. I was fuming just thinking about it. I'm small, but I can be intimidating, and part of me wanted to go off just to let off steam. Luckily, Nathan came out of his room and started making a frozen pizza. I heard dishes clanking, the oven door opening and closing, and the smell of pepperoni filled the house. Then I heard his footsteps heading toward my room. Hey, Vita, it's me, he said. I asked how his trip was. He mentioned jet lag, then said, did something rot in the trash? I replied, you mean the bugs? That's what happens when dirty dishes sit and everyone leaves. He made a grossed out face and said, ugh, yeah, nasty. I pointed out the cleaning supplies under the sink. He looked annoyed but went back to the kitchen. While his pizza baked, he started cleaning not just the dishes but the counters, too, and even sprayed for bugs. I did a little happy dance at my desk. Victory. I stayed in my room, scrolling, and thought about posting an update but wanted to wait until everyone was back and the kitchen was fully clean. Later, I checked the kitchen to make tea. To my shock, the sink was spotless, and the bugs were way down. We live in a forest cabin, so some fruit flies are inevitable, but it was a huge improvement. Luciano, the last roommate, got back around 8 p.m. in a great mood. He's our party guy and best buds with Nathan. Our recycling bin's always stuffed with beer cans and bottles from their late-night hangouts. Luciano started unpacking beer on the table, yelling, "Nathan, come drink." Nathan, half asleep from jet lag, stumbled out. They cracked open beers, and Nathan said, "You owe me at least 5 cans. You made that chicken last week." Luciano was like, maybe," and checked the fridge. "Nah, dude, you didn't clean anything. This was all in the sink when I got back." Awkward pause. Luciano closed the fridge and muttered, "Damn." Nathan must have shown him pics of the sink from earlier, saying, "This is what it looked like. I know the baking sheet's mine from last week, but..." He lowered his voice, and I couldn't hear everything, but I caught my name. I'm guessing it was something between we literally told Vita she doesn't have to clean our stuff and Vita was a jerk, and I had to clean it all. Either way, I don't care, I'm fine being the bad guy if it means a clean sink. I went back to the kitchen later for more tea. It looked great. Luciano and Nathan were smoking on the back porch, and Sanjit was probably still at his girlfriend's. Just to be safe, I gave the kitchen another good spray with insecticide and wiped it down. It smells like bug spray now, but whatever, maybe it'll remind them to stay on top of things. I wish I could say, "And they never left dishes in the sink again," the end, but only time will tell. Luciano seems to be the main culprit, and I'm bummed he didn't see the bug fest himself. If Nathan keeps him in check, we should be good. Some of you wanted epic roommate drama, and I was ready for a fight, but I'm honestly glad it resolved without too much mess. I'm saving your ideas for next time. If this happens again, I'll either stack their dirty plates on their pillows or hide all the clean dishes so they can't use them. Story 2, she cheated with 7 guys and tried to take half the house, but got stuck with debt. Over 10 years ago, I started dating my ex, Karen. I didn't know it then, but she was a textbook narcissistic jerk. I'm me, obviously, and Karen's the self-obsessed witch. We met through my brother's friend when we were both 20, coming from messed up families. I was a seasonal worker, picking fruit, sorting at warehouses, tough but decent pay for about 45 weeks a year. She was jobless. We hit it off, started dating, and things were okay. A year later, we moved in together. 6 months after that, she grudgingly got a job but quit after a month when she found out she was pregnant at 2 months. That's when we got a mortgage. I started working as a prep cook, grueling shifts for peanuts, 6 days a week, out from 7 a.m. to 9 to 11 p.m. depending on the rush. It was rough. Our daughter was born, and someone said Karen got pregnant to trap me. I brushed it off. That's when things went downhill. I was working 40 to 60 hours a week, coming home to an angry girlfriend and a trashed apartment. I don't believe in rigid gender roles. Guys don't have to work, women don't have to clean. It's a partnership where both pitch in. My week, work Tuesday to Sunday, clean every dish, mug, and pot, all we had, on Monday. Per week, TV and online shopping Tuesday and Thursday, take out on Friday because there's no clean dishes, and spending weekends at her sister's. She had this "the world owes me" vibe, took control of our finances, and flipped out if I spent anything, even gas to get to work. I still get mad thinking about how much money she blew on junk. 5 years later, nothing changed. I worked, cleaned on my day off, and still had to justify spending on gas. One day at work, I got a text from her sister, "Call me ASAP." I told my boss I needed to make an urgent call and stepped into the storage room. That call changed everything. Her sister said, "I'm not sure if I should tell you, but Karen's cheating. 7 different guys over 3 years. Worse, she was spending my money on them, including $800 to fix one guy's car, pulling from our mortgage funds." I was livid. I confronted Karen, and she admitted most of it once she knew her family spilled the beans. I said I wanted to break up, changed the bank password, and offered her the house. She refused, calling it a worthless dump. We agreed on 50-50 custody. The next 6 months, I worked, cleaned up years of her impulse buy clutter, and stayed strong for our 5-year-old daughter. Work cut my hours and gave me a raise so I wouldn't lose too much income. Karen started dating one of the guys she cheated with, let's call him Bob, guy number 3. Bob was twice her age, worked 8 hours a week, and wanted to work less. She was still job hunting but needed money. Then she called, "I want my half of the house." By law, we had 2 years to split assets, so she technically had a claim. The convo went like this. "Karen, I want my half of the house." Me, I thought you said you didn't want it." "Karen, I changed my mind. It's worth $120,000. I'm owed $60,000, but I'll settle for $20,000. I explained that by law, she's owed half the equity, the house's value minus the debt. It's valued at $120,000, but we owed $115,000 on the mortgage, would have been less, but she kept dipping into it, plus housing prices tanked. So, there's only $5,000 to split. I offered to give her the $5,000, remove her from the mortgage, and pay a lawyer to take her off the deed, costing me $10,000 total. She'd walk away with $5,000, more than if we sold now. She snapped, "You owe me more than $5,000. My offer's $30,000 by next week, or we sell." Cue malicious compliance. I calmly said, "Okay," hung up, and let her think she won. She even texted the same nonsense. I booked a lawyer, drafted a letter, and met with 2 real estate agents. A week later, Karen came over. She still had a key. I handed her an envelope. Thinking it was a check, she ripped it open. It was a letter from my lawyer, saying, "Karen, per your message, screenshot attached, my client will vacate the property by date. All mortgage payments to date were made by my client. Since you haven't used the property, we won't seek compensation for those. My client spent $7,000 on repairs, receipts attached, and as co-owner, you owe $3,500. My client paid $1,500 in utilities/taxes, receipts attached, and we seek $750 compensation. From move-out date to sale, you're responsible for half the mortgage, taxes, utilities, and sale prep costs." She realized she was screwed. "Okay, just give me the $5,000, she said. I replied, "No, you said if I don't give you $30,000 by today, we sell." She backpedaled. I was joking. Then offered $4,000, then $3,000, even winking and saying she'd make it worth my while. "Nope." I said, "We're selling." She yelled, "I can't afford that. You know I'm jobless, and Bob barely works. We need money for our wedding." I told her that's not my problem and suggested she talk to the agents. They said we'd need to invest $2,000 to sell at a profit, or we'd likely lose money. Both appraisers valued the house at $110,000. At her request, we used her lawyer for the sale. I put in the $2,000, got a reappraisal, and the sale took 9 weeks, 15 with paperwork. She owed me $8,000 after expenses. After commissions and paying off the mortgage, we made $19,000 profit. True to form, Karen thought since it was her lawyer, all the money was hers. I told the lawyer she owed me $8,000, and the funds should stay in escrow until she agreed to pay. By law, both parties must agree on how to split profits before distribution. Karen was furious and threatened to sue her own lawyer. 3 months later, she called, "I know things are awkward, but I need my half. Let's split it, and I'll pay you $20 a week." I said she'd get her share only after settling the debt. Long pause of whispers, probably with Bob. She offered, "If we give you $7,000 from the total, will you call the debt even?" That left her $2,500. She agreed, we signed, and it was done. Edit 1, about our daughter, we still have 50-50 custody. I encourage her relationship with her mom, remind her to call, and never badmouth Karen, though I don't get the same respect back. I do it for our kid. Edit 2, we did a DNA test, she's definitely my biological daughter. After 5 years of raising her, she's mine either way. Edit 3, thanks for the kind words. My dad went through something similar with my mom but stayed strong for us kids. He drove us 6 hours to see her every few months, never said a bad word about her, even though she called him awful things. When Karen and I split, he finally told me they divorced because of her cheating. He kept it quiet to protect her reputation and asked me not to tell my siblings. He said, "No matter who Karen is or what she did, she's your daughter's mom." I was 25, and it hurt, but it explained a lot. That's the end of both stories. I'm curious about your thoughts, especially on the second one. There's a common belief that kids from broken homes attract the same drama in their own families. Do you agree or disagree? Maybe you know someone with a similar story, or you've been through it yourself. How did it turn out? I'd love to read your experiences, and I'm sure others would too. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Check out our previous video linked below, subscribe if you haven't, and catch you in the next one.